So, welcome to our little studio of grief thoughts.
It's cute. It is very cute. I love this.
I do too. I think it was perfect.
Yeah. So cozy, comfortable.
So, we are with Shelby today.
Hello.
What are we going to talk about?
All the fun grief stuff.
Fun.
I have very unfortunately been through grief in really all the different stages of my life so far. So I've gotten to experience a lot of different, aspects of it. Started really young, and I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything about it.
I don't think none of us do.
But the best way I can describe it is I'm an expert at it.
You're a pro?
Because I have been through it so much, which I do not wish upon anybody, but I'm doing it and I'm here, and that's just kind of it.
So do you, because in our family, we're twisted. We're way fucking twisted, honestly. Yeah. And we talk shit about it. And because if you can't, how else do you get through it?
Absolutely. I mean, of course it's sad. And of course there are so many very strong feelings to go with it. But if you can't have a little bit of fun with it, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Of course there's nothing fun about it, but it's just the reality of it.
It's not. It's almost like you become numb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like Dylan's like part of the Dead Dads Club. I'm like, you guys are so fucking twisted. And Michaela's like, I'm just bad at having dads. I'm like, you told your therapist that? These people think we're fucked up.
We are fucked up.
100%. But I think it's better than dwelling
Absolutely.
And being stuck and
yes.
I guess being sad all the time.
For sure. So my grieving process started technically, I would say when I was 14. That's when I lost my dad. And one thing that I have always said, no matter what, I've never really, understood why I've always felt this way because I was so young. I did not know what I was doing when it came to losing somebody and grieving on all of that. But I've always said, I don't want it to define who I am. It happened to me, but it's not all that I am.
Yeah.
I always want to pick myself up and move forward from it. And I feel like that's just so important because there are so many people it is a very life-changing situation, but so many people let it ruin their lives.
Yes.
And I never wanted to be that person. And I still don't want to be that person.
I agree. That's how I am. Because I've seen so many people that like it does define who they are.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm like, that was part of my story.
Yep.
And it fucking sucked 100%. But I also think it's totally how you get through it.
Oh, yeah.
And not let it define you, but it's how you handle it.
Yeah. How
you end up.
And I think that's what was hard for me. I was a freshman in high school when my dad passed away. And kids, they're, they're not nice, but they're just so judgmental. I mean, it's not even just kids. It's the whole world. Let's be honest.
I was saying, I don't even think it's just, definitely it's not just kids. It's definitely not just in that because Michaela faced that in college.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a big deal.
But I hated being that girl, the girl whose dad died, the girl just going through it. And I hated that more than anything. And, lucky old me, it got to follow me my junior year. I was 16, almost 17, and my brother died. So then I became the girl in high school whose dad died and brother died. And I never wanted to be that girl. And it sucks. And it was hard. And it's still hard. It's been 16 years. But I was always that girl. And I'm like, man, no wonder why I wanted to just get the hell out of there and just start an adulthood and become a new person and start jobs where people didn't know me. They didn't know that's my story. If they wanted to get to know me, eventually they find out that story. Yeah. But, of course, people talk, the whole world knows. And, I didn't go to a small school, but it wasn't a huge school either. So everybody knew. Yeah,
it's easier. I think it's easier when you're going through that stuff to have somebody that don't know shit about your life. They don't know nothing.
Yes. And, in between and of course, yes, at the end of the day, are you supposed to lose a parent? Yeah. Eventually. At 14, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Are you maybe supposed to go through life losing your older sibling? Absolutely. But it's not supposed to happen when you're 16, he was 19, in an accident, things like that. Not supposed to happen. I was in my 20s when I lost my grandparents. That was, they got sick, and we knew it was coming kind of thing. It wasn't as unexpected. Yeah. So, that happened, and I can grieve that in a normal aspect of it, but then in a year ago is when my mom passed away. And that was, by far, obviously I'm still navigating all of it, but it's so weird to say it, but her being murdered makes it a different type of grief.
It's definitely different. I think the person that you lose, I think how they pass, all of that plays into the grief.
Yeah.
And how you grieve it, how you handle it, because it is totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and again, like I said earlier, it's a different stage of my life.
Yeah.
I was a kid in the beginning when it all started happening, and, we tried all the things. My mom is such a feel your feelings, talk about it, do it, cry it out, do all the things. I don't cry a lot. Now I'm very, very much more emotional now. I'm, 9 months postpartum, and man, that'll hit you hard.
It gets different as the older you get too.
The older I get, postpartum, those feelings are there. But I am just not, I feel my feelings, but I like to do it internally. And I'll talk about it. I have no problem talking about it, but I tried therapy because that's what she wanted me to do. And I'm like, it's not for me. I don't love it. Because I don't want to just sit there and air it all out. And I get it. They're there to help you, but I just felt so damn judged.
But at the same time, because I went to the therapist like twice.
Yeah.
Because I was at a point in my life, I'm like, shit, I should probably talk to somebody. I've spent this time trying to make sure everybody's good, and I should probably go talk to somebody. So I finally got up the courage to do that. And I'm like, oh, he's cool, but he's probably never dealt with that.
Yeah.
He's just this guy taking notes. Yeah. And I'm like, he doesn't understand.
Yeah. It just felt very clerical.
Yeah.
We're going through the steps, and he's literally, or she, I guess I had a couple of she's are just checking off the boxes.
Yeah.
And I just didn't love that. And that's okay. It's for some people and it's not for others. Yeah, and it's just not for me. I don't have a huge support system, but I have a wonderful support system. So I have plenty of people to talk to that can just talk to me.
Right.
I don't have to pay somebody or get judged by a stranger that doesn't know my whole story.
Right.
I tried that. My mom loved therapy. And that was fine.
Yeah. Some great.
People do. And another thing that my mom did, her and my dad were no longer together when he passed away, but she still felt it. They were still very much close. He was sick, but he had such a different past that it was such a different situation. He was an addict and things like that. But up until the day that my dad died, my mom was by his side, and they had been divorced for many years. So she felt it, but she was more affected by my brother. Clearly, it was her son.
Absolutely.
So she coped with it by just kind of, clinging to not only me, but she became friends with his friends. People that we didn't, not anything bad by it by any means, but it was even people that I never met until his funeral. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you deal with it and that's what makes you feel good, go on ahead and do it. Yeah. But to me, and one thing that my mom didn't fully understand was it's more sad for me to be around all these people that he spent his time with than it helped me. Like, it just made me sad.
Yeah, and some people,
the people that I knew that were my brother's friends, that's a different story because I had relationship with them as well. But the people we met because of his death, my mom really clung to that. And that's okay. But that just wasn't me.
Yeah.
And so we struggled a lot because I'm a teenager at the time. And she wanted to do this, and this, and wanted me to be a part of it. And that's just not the way I was grieving. That's not the way I was dealing with things. And I'm trying to respect her grieving process, but she was just trying to push that onto me. And that was hard because I'm like, I'm trying to navigate this and figure this out. My brother was my best friend, and he tried to pick up that dad role. So I lost a lot in one person.
And I think as a parent too, though, you don't really know how to help your kids when you're going through this shit.
Yeah. Especially when you were so affected by it. I mean, she was so broken, and I could not even imagine being a mom and losing. I could not imagine. And we were just feeling different types of hurt, and neither of us truly knew how to navigate that for each other.
Yeah.
Looking back now, there's obviously so many things that we could have done differently.
But in the moment,
that's part of grief, is you don't know.
You're learning.
You figure it out. And eventually, it took a couple of years. We got on the same page, and we celebrated together how we wanted to celebrate. Sometimes I did a couple of things that I probably didn't want to do, but I wanted to make her happy.
Yeah, it was for her, yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But she just really went through it, and seeing somebody else grieve in a different style was hard because you don't understand it, but you begin to understand. Like, that was my realization, is like, wow, like I really am just a different person than anybody else in this world, I guess. And I handle things differently.
You're not different than anybody else in the world. But I feel that.
Yeah.
Because often, even like when my grandparents died or things like that, I'm like, I don't know, I guess, not to sound insensitive, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
You expect it eventually.
And is it sad? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I guess it's because I'm not a crier. Like, I'm an awkward. Death is awkward for me.
So awkward.
Like, I don't know what to say, so I really don't want to say nothing to you because it's all wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just really weird for me.
It is. Oh, me too. It's like, as fucked up as it is, I'm so much better being on the other side of it, experiencing the death as like a front runner than trying to comfort somebody. Yeah. I'm like, I've been through it. And I still don't know what I'm supposed to say or what I'm supposed to do or what I'm supposed to do with my hands. Do you want to hug or do you not?
But when you're in that position, and when you're that person grieving, you're that person that lost someone, let's be real, all the words are fucking wrong.
Every single one.
Nothing anybody says is going to make anything better.
No.
And some people just say stupid shit, and you're like, just fucking go away.
Yes.
Just don't.
I know.
I'd rather you not say anything at all than
ask me how I am.
That. How are you? How the fuck do you think I am?
Yeah.
Like, that's like the worst thing ever.
I know.
To ask.
Yes.
And I think the most thing that helped me was the random people that just showed up at my house. Mm-hmm. And they sat there and they didn't say shit. They just showed up to sit.
And they brought food.
They didn't text and say, how are you?
Yes, my favorite, and that is one thing that I am training myself to do, is when somebody close to us loses somebody, I'm like, I'm going to bring food. Because that's what I needed.
Yep.
I am not cooking. I don't necessarily love going through the drive-thrus, but I was a lot. And I'm like, I want a home-cooked meal, but I did not cook.
Yep.
And that was the absolute best.
I think that and all the Grubhub and all the food delivery things were great because I didn't have to make too many options. I didn't have to do
the easy stuff. I can throw it in the oven or microwave and just be done with it and go. I totally agree with that.
Do you think the way you grieved was different from your dad to your brother to your mom?
Absolutely. So with my dad, he was sick. He had cancer. He passed away. It was a very quick diagnosis. And he ended up getting MRSA and getting even more sick than he was, and passing away within a couple of months. But the weird processing that I did was because he was an addict. Yeah. And he was not recovering yet. He was in and out of jail a lot. And he wasn't like that my entire life. When him and my mom got divorced, it wrecked him, and he just started hanging out with the wrong crowd and, went back to those partying ways. And, he's not as young as he once was, and just kind of became an addict again. And it sucked. When he was a dad, he was a great dad. When he was an addict, he was an addict. And unfortunately, the addict took over a lot. So when he got sick, it was really sad, but he was home and he was not using and he was safe. Yeah. Which is such a weird relief. Like, you should never be relieved that your dad got diagnosed with cancer. You know, he had to have his arm amputated. And so then he was very much not able to get out and about and go make bad decisions. And you're like, man, you know, it sucks. You lost a limb, but you're not out getting high.
Yeah.
So when he passed away, and he did, you know, we knew it was coming, but again, it happened very quickly. So it's never a relief. It's never easy. I don't want to say relief. That's totally not the right words, but it was a relief that he passed away from cancer versus us getting a terrible call that it was a drug overdose or a drug deal gone wrong or anything of that sort. I lost somebody and I was grieving that, but I was also relieved of all of these responsibilities of living with an addict parent. So, you know, obviously that's just a weird situation to be navigating at 14 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so then, you know, my brother picked up a huge role. We'd always been pretty close, but he became very protective and tried to parent a little bit. My mom worked a lot of jobs, so it was us. And then he had his accident and it was bad. But we got the call that he was in his accident and, you know, had to deal with the whole, you know, fighting in the hospital for 5 days. And so then it's one of those things where you have your ups and you have your downs and you go through a lot of emotions. And then he passed away. And for that grieving process, it was so strange because I just went numb. And I think that was the first time I really felt the numbness in anything in my life. And I didn't want to, I guess, live the life I was living. I had a boyfriend for a couple of years and broke up with him, you know, became friends with my brother's, you know, girlfriend that, we weren't like friends before really, but, you know, just started hanging out with different people and just doing different things. And then I finally woke up one day and I was like, what in the world am I doing? Like, this isn't me. This isn't how I handle things. And so then I kind of picked myself up and started figuring it out and actually started dealing with it, processing it, made amends with my boyfriend.
Like, I was just kidding. I was going through some shit.
Yeah, you know, and like, I just didn't know how to navigate the feelings because I was a little bit older. I was feeling something different. I was lost.
Yeah.
And I started to find myself again. And once I started doing that, I was like, okay, you know, he's never coming back and that sucks, but this is our new normal. And this is what we're going to do.
And sometimes it's a process. Sometimes you do go through all these different things. You're like, oh, well, let's change this and see if this works out.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know how to navigate.
You don't.
Especially when somebody's so close to you. You just.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I feel like it's not an unnormal thing for somebody to be like, oh, I'm going to push everybody that I love away and, you know, try to wrap my life in something else and see if that works.
And not a great thing.
It's not a great thing.
Not
and I feel like more times
way easier.
Than not,
way easier if you all go through it together.
Exactly. And, you know, you're going to find out that that is not the answer. That does not work.
But sometimes you have to try.
Yes. And then, you know, when it came to my mom, I was 29. I was 5 months pregnant. And again, you know, it was a fucked up situation.
For sure.
She was killed by her husband. So it wasn't just me losing my mom. You know, he then, you know, decided to take his own life. So,
and they were together for a while,
They were together for 12 years. So I mean, this is not just some guy.
He wasn't new. He wasn't somebody, I mean, he was somebody major in your life.
He was. And the hardest part was, of course, everybody has their flaws. But once upon a time, he was a damn good guy. And so I'm grieving and I lost my mom and I lost my stepdad and I lost so many things, but I don't understand it because I'm like, I get it. They were going through divorce and that sucks, but you were a good guy. You took care of us. You looked me and my husband in the eyes on so many occasions and told us, you never have to worry about your mom. I will take care of her. And then you killed her. And you took her away from everybody. And so it's like, I'm so mad, but I'm also so sad because I lost him too. And that's weird.
And that, I was going to say, and that's probably hard because he was somebody major in your life.
Yeah.
And then you have to get past that he did this to your mom. At the same time, you loved him.
Yeah.
So how do you get past like that either forgiveness or let go, or and then do you feel some type of way towards his family because your boy killed my mom? Like how?
And that's so hard because it's not his family's fault by any means. But it is a constant reminder of what happened, dealing with 2 estates and dealing with all of the things that go along with, they were technically still married, a married couple passing away together, and just the severity of it all. I mean, it is hard. But I don't blame his family. I don't blame anybody but him. And that's definitely hard. It's taken me a while because it's nobody's fault. It's not like anybody said, hey, go do this. But it is just the initial reminder.
Yeah, the initial grief, the initial thought that was like,
what I have to figure it out. And again, it's just something new that I had to navigate. And doing it pregnant was the absolute cherry on top, because you're like, obviously going through it. I mean, we could not have ever imagined that this would happen. Nobody ever could. We are by the book crime junkies. We watch the things, we listen to the podcasts, we do all the things. Never, ever in my life did I think that I would be the one pulling up to the crime scene and it being my reality.
Right.
And then it was. And, my mom drove me crazy 100% of the time, but she was my best friend. Mm-hmm. And that was a hard loss. And so I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. I didn't want to do any of the things, but I'm growing a human. So I had to.
Still had to, yeah.
And then you plan a funeral, and then you have to get with, you learn all the things. You have to get with an attorney, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And so for the remainder of my pregnancy and the very beginning few months of my daughter's life, I was in fight or flight mode. I was trying to get things figured out, trying to get a grip on what I needed to do.
You didn't have an option. There wasn't anybody else to do it.
Absolutely not. And in that time period, I didn't deal with the loss. Mm-hmm. That was on the back burner. I was, okay, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to shut this off. I got to figure out this bill. Like you're doing all of those things.
Shut the
and you're
like,
out. The loss right then is nowhere really. It's there because you're dealing with all of these tasks,
but you're not feeling.
You're not feeling
it.
So then when my daughter was born is when I started feeling, because the things with the estate had slowed down. It hadn't closed out yet, but it had really slowed down. And you are in that hospital bed and you are about to go through one of the craziest things you're ever going through, and you want your mom. And I didn't have that. And so that's when it really set in. I bring a baby home. My husband has a pretty demanding job, and he was only able to be home for 2 days. And so I'm like, who do I want? My mom. Mm-hmm. And I don't have that. So then that's when the emotions started to flow. And my biggest thing is I never want my daughter to feel that. She's going to know who her grandma was. She's mm-hmm. going to know so much about her, but I never want her to know the sadness that I feel deep down. And I feel so much sadness. And that's hard when I stay home and I'm trying to just have a wonderful day and play with her and not be sad, but I'm sad. I look up on my mantle and there's an urn when it should be my mom sitting on my couch.
Absolutely.
And it sucks because I feel like my husband has really felt the majority of my grieving because I've been angry a lot. And so it's like during the day when I'm with my baby, I want to be so happy and I want to play. And she's so amazing and so funny and so easy to, turn off my feelings and just be there and be fun with her.
Look, I'm kind of mad she's not here right now.
But then I turn that off when she goes to bed, and then I feel my feelings and I'm, pissed off. And I've gotten through that a little bit, but there were a couple of months where I'm like, I just turned that off and I'm mad because I don't have the help that I should have.
But, and I mean, that never goes away.
It doesn't.
I mean, I think there's always going to be those moments where you're going to get mad, especially raising a baby. You're like, fuck, my mom could be here helping this. Yeah. Or if we wanted to go out, mom could have been watching the baby. And like you said, she will never know. she'll never have your mom there. And that's hard. And not only that, but you have your grandma.
Yeah. She's 84.
Everybody else is gone?
Everyone's gone.
I mean, is there anybody else in the family that you...
I have cousins. I have an aunt that helps me when she can. I have some family friends that help. I'm not a person that likes to ask for help.
I get that.
Shocker.
I know.
I am very much the type of person, like, this is me, this is my deal, this is my problem. I'm not going to.
But I will love on that baby whenever you want me to. Okay?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm trying to get over that, but it's hard. With that, me being that type of person, it's who I've always been. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out myself. I am very much the memes you see on the internet where it's like, I ask my husband for help. And he doesn't do it right then and right there. And so I'm running into walls with a mattress and I'm trying to carry it by myself.
I'm the same way.
I mean, I am just I'm going to do it type of person. And that's okay. I'm not mad about that at all. I'll never change who I am. But then, I'm like, I had this baby and that's fine. It's who I'm going to take care of her. But with everything that happened with my mom comes a lot of trust issues.
Oh, yeah.
And I can know you my entire life, love you to death, and I'm still going to be scared to death to leave my kid with you. Because I unfortunately learned the hard way that I don't know everybody as well as I think I do.
That makes sense.
And yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, I'm just going to figure it out. And we've done great.
I'm just going to do all the things forever by myself.
No, so we've done great. I've had to really suck up my pride and start asking for a little bit of help because she's almost 10 months old and she's busy.
That's a lot.
She's busy and mama needs a break.
Yeah.
Love to go get my hair done without trying to have a baby in my lap and possibly leaving there with a jacked up haircut. Like, so I'm asking for help. I'm figuring it out. I know one day I will find a sitter. That's not family that I don't know. I'm just not there yet.
It's probably going to be a while.
It's going to be a while. My trust is not fully, it's not built back up yet, but we're working on it.
I have commitment issues.
Yeah, I get that.
Everybody's like, like if somebody invites me to something, I'm like, I can't commit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we'll see.
Don't count on me being there. But
I might.
However, let's see how I feel that day, and I may show up. I may not. Mm-hmm. I probably won't. But thanks for that.
I'm very much a maybe person on the invite on Facebook. I'm like, in my mind, I plan on being there. So I want to say yes. I either don't ever respond or I'm a maybe because I'm like, well, I want you to have enough food if I decide, but I can't fully commit.
Oh, so you're not me. I'm like, I'll hit the drive-thru on the way there. Don't count on me, period.
Oh, I love it.
I just can't. I'm like, man, I really appreciate all the invites, but I really have commitment issues nowadays. Yeah. I'm like, just don't know how I'm going to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the same way. There are some days where I'm like, get me out of this house. Let's pack the bag. Let's do all the running. I will get this baby in and out of this car 15 times if I have to, just to make my soul happy. And there are other days where I'm like,
nope,
we're not even going to shower. Like we're going to stay in this house for the next 3 days. And that's what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to DoorDash every meal. Because I'm not cooking.
It's fine. It's just part of it.
So yeah, I totally get it. I do. And that's another thing, deep down, I want to say that's just who I am as a person, but it's who I've become because I feel different ways, different days.
Yep.
And I never know how I'm going to feel. And I've never really been a depressed or anxious person. But let me tell you, try to grieve while postpartum. You become every single thing.
I can't imagine.
You become every single thing that you have never understood in your life. And that's been hard. That's one thing that I was always like, man, I've really been through it before my mom passed. But I've never been depressed. I've never really been anxious. Like, of course, everybody has their, oh man, like I'm a little scared, I'm nervous. I'm a little anxious about this, but I've never been like a super over anxious person. And I don't even know where to begin on the anxiety these days.
Yeah, I wasn't until after KJ died. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, you really feel for the people that you're like, you've been going through this for years and years, and I've never understood it.
Yeah, and you don't until you do. Like my major thing was every little ache and pain. It's gonna fucking kill me. Mm-hmm. Like literally. I'm not breathing right. We gotta go to the hospital. I went to the hospital one day for a panic attack, and it's like,
you don't know what you don't know.
It's finally now getting better.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just can't.
I know. It's crazy.
It's so crazy.
It is.
Like, I had slight anxiety prior to that. Like, if we were out on the lake, I'm like, okay, I'm just need to park the boat. Once the boat's parked, I'm good.
Yeah.
But like moving through the cove and stuff, I'm like, I'm not really feeling this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got way worse for probably about a year and a half.
Yeah. And it's weird because, again, you're learning so many new things. You're learning, especially you lost your husband. So you're learning literally a completely different life, a completely new life.
Yeah.
But then you start having these weird feelings and you're like, what is this? What is happening? Like, and I've always very much in a very dark humor way. I'm like, so many people tell me you're the strongest person I know. You can get through anything. I don't want to be strong. I don't want to be the strong one anymore. Like, God, I love you. And I totally get that I had to go through this instead of somebody else, but like, can we not go through it anymore?
Right. Can we stop? And that was always I'm like,
can I pass the torch?
I'm like, what fucking choice do I have?
Yeah.
What's the other options?
Let it define me? Because that's
what's
not me.
The option? I'm like, you either get through it the best you fucking can.
Yeah.
You become an alcoholic. You become a drug addict. You just lay in your bed and not fucking leave. You're depressed. You let your kids see all that. Like, what is your fucking choices? Yeah. Because I choose to keep on going like he would have wanted me
to.
And live the life that we had originally planned.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to let it define me, and I'm not going to let it put me down, and I'm not going to let my kids see me in a dark fucking place and figure out how the hell to get out of it.
Yeah. And maybe never get out of it.
That. Because a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Yeah. And that's hard. And I've seen that so many times. And, it's hard because I love to have a little glass of wine. I like to have, give me a high noon. I'm happy. Man, 5 months pregnant. And when you, all you want to do is do something to forget. It's a blessing that I was pregnant because I could have seen myself going down a dark hole
100%
and trying to really mask those feelings. And so I'm like, of course the timing sucked.
I apologize. Our equipment decided to stop working in the middle of Shelby's interview. Please go on over to the next episode to continue listening. Thank you.